A woman in a surgical mask stops you on the street and asks if she's pretty. A girl with no legs drags herself across the ground faster than you can run. A voice in a bathroom stall gives you two colors, and both of them are basically a death sentence. A woman almost 8 feet tall stands behind a hedge making one tiny sound, and one late-night train takes a passenger to a station that, according to the map, does not exist. So yeah, today we are going straight into Japan's nightmare folder. These are some of the most famous Japanese urban legends, and before anyone gets mad in the comments, yes, they are legends. I'm not going to act like every creepy story from a forum or a school rumor is a confirmed event, because no, that would be cheap. But the fear around them, the way they spread, the school panic, the forum posts, the people repeating them for decades until they become part of modern horror culture, that part is very real. And the first one got so big in Japan that some children were reportedly being walked home in groups. Not because of a confirmed criminal case, because of a rumor around a woman in a mask. Her name is Kuchisake-onna, a slit-mouthed woman. And if you know only one Japanese urban legend, it's probably this one, because it is so simple and so nasty. You are walking alone, a woman comes up to you. She's wearing a surgical mask, which in Japan is not automatically suspicious. People wear masks for colds, allergies, politeness, germs, all of that. So, at first, she doesn't look like a monster. She looks like someone you would walk past without thinking. Then she asks, "Am I pretty?" And that is already such an uncomfortable question, especially if you are a kid. What are you supposed to say? You don't want to be rude, you don't want to make the strange woman angry. You just want this interaction to end so you can keep walking. So in most versions, the victim says yes. Then she removes the mask. Her mouth is slit from ear to ear. And she asks again, "Even like this?" That's when you realize there was never a safe answer. If you say no, in many versions, she attacks. If you say yes, some versions say she tells you, "Then I will make you just like me," and cuts your mouth too. So you are not just being chased, you are being forced to answer first. And that makes it so much worse, because the whole thing starts like a normal social interaction. A weird one, yes, but still, a question, a polite answer, then suddenly scissors. The modern Kuchisake-onna rumor wave is usually traced to the late 1970s. Around 1978, it spread in Gifu Prefecture, and by 1979, it had become huge across Japan. Children were scared, parents were worried, teachers reportedly helped organize group walks home. And that's what gets me. She could have been just a rumor, but kids were still scared enough to change how they walked home, because enough people were whispering the same story. Of course, because this is an urban legend, people also invented survival tips. Some versions say if she asks if she's pretty, you should answer, "You're average," which is honestly the most awkward emergency plan I've ever heard. Imagine standing in front of a supernatural woman with scissors and your best move is a painfully neutral review. Not ugly, not stunning, very middle, respectfully, 5 out of 10. Other versions say you can distract her with candy, especially bekoame, a Japanese hard candy. Some say you can repeat the word pomado because she hates it, or because it connects to the smell of the person who disfigured her. And then some versions say she can run 100 meters in 6 seconds, which feels deeply unnecessary. She already has a sliced open mouth and scissors. Did we really need to give her Olympic speed too? There are also older style explanations online about a jealous husband or a samurai cutting her mouth, but the clearest documented part is the modern rumor panic from the late 1970s. So I wouldn't say this is definitely where she came from. It's one version of the story. The late 1970s panic is the part we can actually trace. The strongest thing we can say is this: a story about a masked woman became so intense that children were afraid to walk home alone. Now, the next legend doesn't ask you anything. It doesn't give you a riddle. It doesn't give you a chance to be polite. It just makes a sound. Teke Teke. Even the name sounds wrong. That is supposed to be the sound she makes while moving. A scraping sound, fast, getting closer. Teke Teke is usually described as the ghost of a girl or woman who lost the lower half of her body, often in a train accident. A train cuts her in half, and after that, her upper body keeps moving. She drags herself on her hands or elbows, and the sound of her body scraping across the ground gives her the name. And the worst detail is that she's fast. That ruins everything. It's because if someone says girls with no legs, your brain tries to give you one tiny comfort. Maybe I can run away. No. In many versions, she moves at an impossible speed. She can chase you, she can catch you. And if she catches you, she cuts you in half so you become like her. Teke Teke doesn't stop to talk. You just hear that scraping sound behind you, and by the time you understand what it is, it's already getting closer. And your body understands before your brain does. Run. Now with Teke Teke, the origin is messier. There isn't one clean, verified beginning. It has many school rumor versions, and it overlaps with another Japanese legless ghost story, Kashimareko. Kashimareko is also often described as a woman without legs, and in some versions she appears in bathrooms and asks, "Where are my legs?" And I'm sorry if anything asks me that in a bathroom, I'm done. I'm leaving the building, I do not care what stage of the bathroom process I'm in. Some versions give a strangely specific correct answer like on the Meishin Expressway, which feels exactly like the kind of thing that would spread through a classroom. One kid says their older cousin knows the correct answer, and suddenly everyone treats it like emergency safety information. With Teke Teke, some versions say she was a schoolgirl who fell onto a train tracks. Some say she slipped, some say she was pushed. Some versions add that it was winter and the cold kept her alive for a few horrifying moments after the train hit her. The last part is a rumor detail, not confirmed fact, but as horror, it sticks in your head because it makes you imagine the moment after the accident. The impossible shock of still being aware. And train stations already have built-in fear. Everyone knows the rule. Stay behind the line. Don't go near the tracks. Don't mess around on the platform. Teke Teke feels like the nightmare version of that warning. Something terrible happened near the tracks, and in the legend, the terrible thing comes back. Visually, this one would be terrifying without even showing her at first. Empty platform, buzzing lights, long hallway, no people. Then the sound. A little closer. Faster now. And before you see anything, you already know you are not alone. And now, because apparently Japan was not satisfied with ruining streets and train stations, we go to the most disrespectful haunted location possible. A bathroom stall, a Manto, the red clock. This legend is rude. There is no better word. You are not in a dramatic haunted mansion. You are not walking through a cursed forest under a full moon. You are in the bathroom, alone. The door is closed. You are already in a situation where nobody wants surprises. Then you realize there is no toilet paper. Already a crisis. Then a voice asks, "Do you want red paper or blue paper?" Or in another version, "Do you want a red clock or a blue clock?" That is the moment your day has officially collapsed. If you choose red, the legend says you die in a bloody way. If you choose blue, you may be strangled, suffocated, drained of blood, or left blue. Some versions say, if you choose another color, you get dragged away. So, in many versions, the safest answer is basically to not play the game. Don't choose red, don't choose blue, just refuse the whole thing. I hate this type of ghost, by the way. A regular ghost jumps out, scares you, maybe crawls on the ceiling, does its little job. Manto turns your death into a multiple-choice question that feels personal. Manto is one of Japan's classic school bathroom legends, and some sources trace versions of the rumor back to 1930s. So this is not just a modern internet creepypasta. This has an old schoolyard feeling. And every school has a bathroom like this. Every country, every generation, every school building has one bathroom nobody wants to use. It's always at the end of the hallway. The light flickers, the mirror is weird, one stall is always closed for no clear reason. Somebody says their cousin heard crying in there. Nobody has ever met the cousin obviously, but everyone believes it anyway. In many versions, Manto is a masked figure wearing a red cloak. Sometimes he is described as beautiful, sometimes mysterious, sometimes terrifying. But the thing everyone remembers is the choice, red or blue, blood or suffocation. Choose wrong and you die, refuse and maybe you survive. There is one especially brutal version from an old girls' school. A voice asks a girl whether she wants a red cloak or a blue cloak. She chooses red. Later, she's found dead, with blood across her back in a way that looks like a red cloak. That image is probably why people repeat the story, a red cloak made of blood. Simple, horrible, easy to remember. And just so we don't mix up the bathroom ghosts, Manto is not the same as Hanako-san, even though both are connected to school bathrooms. Hanako-san is usually a girl ghost connected to a toilet stall. Manto is the red-cloaked figure with the deadly color question. There are different legends, but apparently one creepy school bathroom was not enough. And you can see why kids would repeat this one. It's simple, red or blue, two little words and suddenly the last stall is ruined forever. Okay, bathroom survived, barely. Now imagine something quieter. A village, a family visit, a child at his grandparents' house. And the adults get scared before the child even understands why. Hachishakusama, the 8-foot-tall woman. This one feels old, but the most famous version is actually much newer. It's usually traced to a story posted around 2008. And that's one of the reasons I like it so much. It feels like ancient folklore, but it's internet-born horror. Hachishakusama means something like 8 shaku lady. A shaku is an old Japanese unit of measurement, and 8 shaku is about 2.4 meters, almost 8 feet. So she's shaped like a person, just wrong. She's not huge like a movie monster, she still looks almost human, and honestly that makes it worse. She's just tall enough that your brain would go, wait, something is very wrong here. In the most famous version, a young boy is visiting his grandparents in the countryside. He's outside, near the yard, normal day, nothing dramatic. Then he hears it. Soft, repetitive, almost childish. And that bothers me more than if she screamed. And the weird thing is, she's not making some big scary monster sound. It's quiet, almost playful. Like she's standing there waiting. The boy looks over and sees a woman behind a hedge. She's wearing white, sometimes she has a hat, and she's so tall that he can't understand what he's seeing at first. That feels real to me because when something is wrong, your brain doesn't immediately accept it. It tries to fix the image. Maybe she's standing on something, maybe it's just the angle. For a second, your brain tries really hard to make it normal, then runs out of excuses. She's just too tall. When the boy tells his grandparents, they panic. And that is always one of the scary things in a story. A child being scared is one thing. A grandparent being scared is different. Grandparents are supposed to say, "Oh, don't worry, you imagined it." These grandparents do not say that. They know exactly what he saw. In the story, they explain that Hachishakusama has chosen him. She targets young people, especially children, and once she chooses someone, she tries to take them away. The family says she was supposed to be trapped in the area by 4 Jesus statues placed around the village boundaries. Jesus statues are connected with protection, especially for children and travelers, so the detail gives the story this older spiritual feeling. But one of the statues has been damaged. That's when the story changes, because now it's not just there's a tall woman outside, it's there used to be protection here and now it failed. Somebody knew about her before. Somebody tried to contain her, and now the boundary is broken. The family prepares a room for the boy, windows covered with newspapers, salt in the corners, a protective amulet. Very clear rules. Do not open the door, do not open the window, do not look outside, no matter what you hear. And I'm sorry, but the second someone says, no matter what you hear, I know I'm about to hear the worst thing imaginable. During the night, he hears her. Outside, near the house, near the window. Then comes the cruel part. In some versions, Hachishakusama can imitate voices. People you know, you love, a parent, a grandparent, someone softly telling you it's okay. Open the door, come out. That detail is nasty because it attacks trust. A monster voice is easy to ignore, but a voice you love, that gets into your body before you can think. The next morning, the boy has to leave the area. Relatives help him escape by car or van. He is told to keep his eyes closed, hold the amulet, and not look outside. Then something taps on the window. And somehow, the tapping is worse than banging. It feels calm, like she knows you are in there, and she knows you are trying not to look. And that's why this one feels different. Some legends scare you fast. Hachishakusama makes you sit with it. You get the warning. The room, the salt, the covered windows, the voices outside, and that little that just stays in your head. And the final legend does something even worse. It doesn't send a monster after you. It sends you somewhere you should not be able to go. Kisaragi Station. Kisaragi Station is probably the worst one for me. I can deal with a monster kind of. At least you know what the problem is. But a train station that is not on any map? No, my brain would simply stop working. Kisaragi Station began as a 2-channel story in 2004. A user known as Hasumi posts that she's on the train late at night. She's got on a Shin Hamamatsu station, which is a real place. She's taken a route she knows, but the train isn't stopping. At first, that sounds annoying, not supernatural. Maybe she got on the wrong train, maybe it's an express service, maybe she missed an announcement. We've all had that small travel panic where you suddenly think, wait, am I stupid or is something wrong? But the train keeps going. Other passengers seem asleep. Hasumi posts online and people in the thread start trying to help her figure out where she is. And that feels weirdly modern. She's not alone, technically. There are people on the train, but the only people actually trying to help her are strangers online. Then the train finally stops. The station name is Kisaragi Station, and nobody can find it. People search. It doesn't show up the way a real station should. It seems empty, wrong, and then Hasumi gets off the train. I need to pause there, because absolutely not. If I'm on a train and it stops at a station nobody can find on a map, I'm not getting off. I'm sitting right back down and waiting until reality starts working again. But she gets off. She tries to call for help. She tries to contact family. She looks for taxis. Nothing feels normal. Then she hears the sound. Bells, drums, from somewhere in the distance. At an empty station at night. No, thank you. Then there is a tunnel, because of course there is a tunnel. Horror stories love tunnels. The moment a tunnel appears, I feel personally attacked. People in the thread warn her. They tell her to be careful. They try to make sense of it, but the story has already moved past normal logic. Then a strange man appears and offers help. And come on. At a station that does not exist, after mystery drums near a tunnel. No, that is not a helpful stranger, that is a red flag. The updates get more worrying. Hasumi seems scared, she seems to understand that something is very wrong. The final messages suggest movement, fear, maybe an attempt to escape. Then the posts stop. And that's why Kisaragi Station bothers me so much. Nothing jumps out, nobody explains what happened. She just stops posting. And your brain does the horrible part for you. The story became famous because it felt like life danger. People weren't just reading a finished scary story. The format made it feel like they were watching someone disappear message by message. You can reply, you can search, you can give advice, and it still doesn't matter. The story kept spreading for years. Fans connected it with real railway areas, especially around the Anshu Railway and Saginomiya Station, which is often treated as a possible inspiration or related place. In 2022, there was even a film based on Kisaragi Station, and the railway leaned into the connection with promotional displays and team signage. So this is the strange part. A fake station became famous enough that real people started looking for it. A forum post became a movie. A place that doesn't exist left a footprint in the real world. And that's honestly the scary part. A story can start as nothing more than a post online, but if enough people repeat it, search for it, make videos, maps, theories, even movies, suddenly it doesn't feel like just a story anymore. And that is why these Japanese legends are so annoying in the best possible way. They don't stay in the video. You finish watching and suddenly a train platform feels a little too empty. A bathroom stall feels a little too quiet. A mask feels a little too strange. And if something taps on your window at night, yeah, good luck pretending you didn't hear that. So now I need to know, which one would actually get you? Tell me in the comments, because I genuinely want to know which one got under your skin. And tell me which country I should do next in this series. If you want more creepy folklore, urban legends and stories that make normal places feel cursed, like the video, subscribe and stay on the weird side of YouTube with me. And please, if your train stops at a station nobody can find online, do not get off.